All right, thanks so much for joining us once again on the bright side. I want to continue talking about stomach acid, hydrochloric acid, the major component of digestive juices. Stomach acid is important stuff, real important. You're going to get some stomach acid support if you get on the Youngevity Ultimate Enzymes. You can use apple cider vinegar. You can use Swedish bitters. You can use herbs like peppermint and gentian. All of these can help stimulate the secretion of stomach acid. Stomach acid is super, 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 super important. Number one, it's involved in the activation of enzymes, especially the enzymes that break up protein. And stomach acid itself helps break up protein. That means without stomach acid or under conditions of stomach acid deficiency, proteins from meat and from dairy and from eggs, especially high protein foods, without stomach acid, these foods can actually literally enter into the digestive tract, enter into the intestine in an undigested form, and from that point they can potentially get into the blood and into the general circulation. When pieces of undigested protein get into the blood and the circulation, they can activate an immune response, and that potentially means any autoimmune disease you can think of. Hashimoto's disease and Graves' disease, which are the large percentage of thyroid disease, is especially likely. According to the classical medical textbook on thyroid disease by Werner and Ingbar, that's W-E-R-N-E-R, and Ingbar, I-N-G-B-A-R. It's the classic medical textbook on thyroid diseases, all thyroid diseases. According to Werner and Ingbar, 1/3 of patients with autoimmune thyroid disease have issues with deficiencies in stomach acid. And of course, from thyroid disease, all disease is possible. The thyroid is the jumping off point for any disease you can name, including the biggies, cancer and heart disease. Low stomach acid can create changes in the intestinal environment too. One of the key components of overall health, and it's one we haven't talked a lot about on this program, but we sure will be in the coming weeks and months. One of the key components of overall health is bacteria that live in the gut. The importance of these bacterial colonies that are mostly in the large intestine and to a certain degree in the small intestine as well, the importance of these bacterial colonies cannot be overstated. These bacteria are one of the major keys to health and the lack of health as well. And as goes the health of these bacteria, so goes the health of the digestive system, and then so goes the health of the entire body. In fact, this little 1, 2, 3 from the from bacteria to the digestive tract to the whole body, this 1, 2, 3 is the core of a huge percentage of what we call degenerative disease. When the stomach is not producing enough acid, we run the risk of something called Sibo, S-I-B-O, Sibo, which stands for small intestine bacterial overgrowth, and it can cause huge problems. Typically, small intestine bacteria are held in check by stomach acid, and under conditions of deficiency, stomach acid deficiency, these bacteria can grow like crazy. It's not unusual to have double the amount of bacteria in the small intestine if you're dealing with achlorhydria, low stomach acid, hypochlorhydria, achlorhydria, low or no stomach acid. With Sibo, S-I-B-O, you're going to have problems with sugar metabolism. You'll probably end up craving sugar. You can have brain fog issues, and certainly there's going to be a lot of inflammatory factors going around. And let me tell you something, folks. All disease is inflammatory disease. All degenerative disease is inflammatory disease. Long-term inflammation means a greater chance of any disease you can name, including cancer, including heart disease, including strokes, including blood clots. And of course, if you go to the doctor with an issue with clotting blood or thick blood, you're going to probably get Pradaxa, because Pradaxa means progress. What do you think the likelihood is that any doctor is going to think of Sibo when you get treated for blood clots? Pretty much zero, unless you're lucky enough to have a medical detective for a physician. Bloating, gas, belching, cramping, any digestive discomfort, heartburn, loose stools, intestinal permeability, leaky gut syndrome, pretty much anything that can go wrong in the digestive system can be initiated by Sibo, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, which itself can be caused by nothing more than low stomach acid. I hope this is hitting home, people. Stomach acid, something as simple as stomach acid and something as simple as replacing stomach acid with the Youngevity Ultimate Enzymes, betaine hydrochloride, apple cider vinegar, Swedish bitters, peppermint, gentian, herbal materials of all kinds. Anything that stimulates stomach acid can be a critically important strategy for helping avoid the cardiologist's office or the cardiologist's knife. Stomach acid is also required for mineral absorption, especially calcium absorption. Only God knows how much grief is caused by taking calcium supplements with low stomach acid. You know what happens when you take your calcium supplements and you don't have enough acidity going on to free that calcium out of the supplement and to keep it free, to keep it dissolved? If you're taking calcium supplements and you're not making enough stomach acid, the calcium very likely is not going to make it into a cell where it's supposed to do its work. Calcium that doesn't make it into a cell because it hasn't been dissolved because of low stomach acid can deposit in tissues and in glands and potentially even in cholesterol in your arteries. If you're taking a calcium supplement and you're not absorbing that calcium supplement because of low stomach acid, you are running higher risks for calcification of all the tissues of your body, including the heart. And there's lots more to talk about when it comes to stomach acid. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll continue our discussion on achlorhydria, hypochlorhydria, and heart disease. When we come back from our break, we'll be back with more good health information right after this. Don't go away. We're talking about hypochlorhydria, hypo for low, chlorhydria for hydrochloric acid, low hydrochloric acid in the stomach. Something as simple as deficiencies in hydrochloric acid can wreak havoc on the rest of the body. Intestinal permeability is a good likelihood. If you have low stomach acid, problems with bacteria in the intestine can be associated with low stomach acid. Stomach acid is required for mineral absorption. It's required for iron absorption. It's required for calcium absorption. If you're taking calcium supplements and you're not making enough stomach acid, your risks for calcium deposits in various tissues of the body, including the heart, including the brain, including the various glands, your odds for calcification of these systems goes up. Of course, if you're taking calcium supplements and you're not making enough stomach acid, you're not getting the calcium either. Fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins D, E, A, and K, all require stomach acid too. Stomach acid is important for helping the body release or helping the digestive system release nutrients from vegetables. Without a low pH, without an acid stomach, without stomach acidity, these precious nutrients, phytonutrients that are found in plants, many of them precursors to vitamins, many of them anti-inflammatory themselves, many of them nutrients that support growth and repair and protection, especially of the heart, especially of the skin. Many of these precious nutrients will not get processed and absorbed out of plants, out of vegetables, if you're dealing with low stomach acid. And then, of course, there's the whole B vitamin connection. It's much more difficult to absorb B vitamins if you're not making enough stomach acid, especially the B vitamins that lower cardiotoxic, heart-toxic homocysteine, vitamins B6, B12, and folic acid. And without stomach acid, because stomach acid secretion occurs relatively upstream in the digestive process. Without stomach acid, there are lots of subsequent steps in digestion that can be compromised. Gut bacteria, bile, the pancreas, pancreatic enzymes, these are all likely to be affected by deficiencies in stomach acid. Under low stomach acid conditions, under hypochlorhydric conditions, those little bits of undigested food that leak through into the general circulation that are associated with Graves' disease and Hashimoto's disease, those little tiny pieces of undigested material that get into the circulatory system can increase the odds of clotting diseases as well. Or they can impair the liver, and this can lead to blood pressure issues. Blood sugar metabolism can be affected as well. The adrenal glands and the thyroid can also be affected. And this is all just from deficiencies in stomach acid, folks. And once you go into thyroid problems, anything's possible, including autoimmune diseases, skin diseases, cancer, and heart disease. If you go to the cardiologist or you go to your GP for a checkup, more than likely all you're going to hear about, folks, is reducing your cholesterol. This absolute biochemical ignorance of how the medical model approaches cardiovascular health, and really all health, would be comical if it wasn't so tragic. If you're worried about cardiovascular health, if you have a history of heart disease, or if it's in your family, if you have high blood pressure or clotting issues, something as simple as supporting stomach acid using the ultimate enzymes from Youngevity, using apple cider vinegar, using Swedish stomach bitters, using gentian, and that's spelled, by the way, Gentian, using peppermint oil. All of these are strategies for supporting stomach acid, and they can be hugely important for dealing with circulatory problems, blood pressure problems, clotting issues, or heart disease. And then, of course, without stomach acid, you're not going to be able to absorb vitamin B12. And again, from there, anything's possible, especially and including elevations in homocysteine, and then heart disease, and then stroke, and then blood clots. If you suspect that you may not be producing enough stomach acid, and you'll know this by the manifestation of various digestive issues, including heartburn, gas, burping, bloating, bad breath, discomfort after eating, loose stools, constipation, diarrhea. These are all signs of potential deficiencies in stomach acid, and if you suspect that is a problem, get on betaine HCl, B-E-T-A-I-N-E HCl, which you'll find in the Youngevity Ultimate Enzymes. The betaine component of betaine HCl can be very important for lowering homocysteine, and the HCl component of betaine HCl can be very supportive for helping you make stomach acid. You can also finish off all your meals with a couple of shots of apple cider vinegar. You can use fermented foods like sauerkraut or borscht or miso or tempeh. And by the way, digestive enzymes, proteases, protein digesting enzymes, you can always tell a digestive enzyme by the suffix ase, the end of a word. Proteases are digestive enzymes that help you break up protein. Lipases are digestive enzymes that help you break up lipids, fats. Amylases are digestive enzymes that help you break up carbohydrates. If you're taking digestive enzymes, you want to take your digestive enzymes with something acidic. Apple cider vinegar is great because not only will it help acidify your stomach, but it will also activate your enzymes. And apple cider vinegar, by the way, is also a great source of easy-to-absorb potassium, which itself is very cardiovascular friendly, very heart friendly. So get yourself some apple cider vinegar. There's a really neat book by Paul Bragg of Bragg's Liquid Aminos, which is another neat nutritional product. A really interesting book by Paul Bragg called Apple Cider Vinegar, Miracle Health System, and he talks all about the many uses of apple cider vinegar. It tastes pretty darn good too, by the way. A couple of shots of apple cider vinegar using your digestive enzymes, or wash down your digestive enzymes with a couple of shots of apple cider vinegar after meals. That will help activate the enzymes. If you're one of those folks that never seems to feel satisfied after eating, you also may be dealing with malabsorption of nutrients secondary to low stomach acid. On the other hand, sometimes low stomach acid can cause a feeling of fullness after eating small amounts of food. If you eat a little snack and you feel really, really full, or you have a sensation of food sitting in the stomach much longer than it should, that can be a sign that you're not making enough stomach acid. One of the first things I look at when somebody comes into my pharmacy is their fingernails. Brittle nails, weak nails are a major indicator of malabsorption and could be a sign of potential hypochlorhydria, low stomach acid. And of course, all autoimmune diseases have a clear association to the digestive system, to digestive health, including deficiencies in stomach acid. Let me say that again. That is so important. The medical model has over 100 autoimmune diseases. And if you talk to anybody who has an autoimmune disease, I defy you to find somebody who's dealing with lupus or MS or any other kind of autoimmune issue that does not also have a digestive problem. And by the way, you could have testing done to check your stomach acid if you want to make absolutely sure that you're achlorhydric or you're not achlorhydric.